Simile is a figure of speech which is used to compare two unlike things with the use of words such as like or as. Take note that similes are a powerful tool used to create more effective descriptions in literature. So let's have examples of similes in sentences. Number 1, taken from the song She Bangs of Ricky Martin, we have, she looks like a flower but she stings like a bee. So what are the two things being compared in the sentence? We have she and flower. At the same time, she and bee. He runs as fast as cheetah. Now, what are the two things being compared in the sentence? We have he and cheetah. And what is that word used in the sentence that will confirm that this sentence uses simile? It's the word, correct, it's the word as. Metaphor is a figure of speech which is used to compare two unlike things without the use of like or as. Take note that metaphor is a direct comparison of two unlike things. So let's have these examples. She is an early bird. So there is a direct comparison of she to a bird. Number 2, her eyes were diamonds. So there is a direct comparison here with eyes to diamonds. Personification is a figure of speech which is used to give human qualities and characteristics to something that is not human. Number 1, the sun smiled at me. Number 2, my alarm clock yells at me. And number 3, in the middle of the night, the ocean was calling me. So in the first sentence, what human characteristic is transferred to the sun? That is, of course, that ability to smile. Take note, only humans can smile. In number 2, what human characteristic is transferred to alarm clock? And that is yells. Take note, only humans can yell, not an alarm clock. What human characteristic is given to the ocean? It's the ability to call. Apostrophe is a figure of speech which is used to address someone dead, absent, or non-human, as if that person or thing were present. Take note that the purpose of apostrophe is not to get a response, but to express emotions. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. This line is actually taken from the song The Sound of Silence. Now, in this line, take note that the speaker here is talking to darkness, which is an abstract idea. In fact, the speaker in this line considers darkness as his old friend. Rizal, you are truly a hero. So in this line, Rizal is understood to be Jose Rizal. And the speaker here is assumed to be talking to a dead person. Hyperbole is a figure of speech which uses specific words or phrases that exaggerate in order to create a literary effect. Now, here are examples of sentences which use hyperbole to exaggerate ideas. I cried a river when he left. The idea of crying a river is, of course, an exaggeration, but it means that the speaker cried much or cried hard. Number two, I love you to the moon and back. Of course, the speaker here doesn't really mean that he would go to the moon and then come back for the person he loves or she loves. This idea should not be taken literally because it is just used to create a dramatic effect. But of course, we understand that if a person tells you, I love you to the moon and back, it just means that he loves you or she loves you so much. Number three, she has been talking for a week. Of course, the idea talking for a week is impossible to do. But this idea is just an exaggeration. Assonance is a figure of speech which uses repetition of vowel sounds across a line of text or poetry. Now, here are the examples of sentences which use assonance as figure of speech. Number one, this man claps his hands. So what vowel sound is repeated in the sentence? We have the vowel a in the word man, claps, and hands. Number two, his white lie made me sigh. What vowel sound is repeated in the sentence? We have I in the words white, lie, and sigh. Third sentence. She eats sweets and sleeps. What vowel sound is repeated in the sentence? We have the vowel sound, the long E, E. So we have the long E in the words eats, sweets, and sleeps. Oxymoron is a figure of speech which uses two contradictory terms placed next to each other in a line or sentence. The famous line, parting is such a sweet sorrow, of Shakespeare from Romeo and Juliet. So what is the oxymoron in this line? What are the two contradictory terms which are placed next to each other? Of course, we have the words sweet sorrow. So if you happen to see these two contradictory terms, it would really make you stop and think of how can a sorrow be sweet? Now this is for dramatic effect. We also have examples like old news, open secret, and deafening silence. Metonymy is a figure of speech in which a word is replaced for another word that it is closely associated with. Let's have an example of metonymy in a sentence. Pen is mightier than sword. So what are the words in the sentence that suggest metonymy? Of course, we have the words pen and sword. So pen in the sentence refers to the written words and sword refers to military power. Another example, the press is here. So the word press in the sentence represents journalists.